Very good evening to you. I trust your weekend is going well as you usher in the new month. This is CTV PM Edition with me, Melissa Mboha, and Isaac Luchamuzi on Sign Language. In our top story tonight, following the death of a medical doctor who contracted the Ebola virus, the leadership of Uganda Medical Association has asked officials of the Ministry of Health to recruit more health workers and improve working conditions in order to adequately battle the virus. The health worker died of Ebola today at Fort Portal Regional Hospital, where he was receiving treatment. Take a look.
The death of Dr. Ali Mohammed, a Tanzanian national, was announced by Health Minister Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng via her Twitter handle. Dr. Acheng tweeted that Dr. Mohammed tested Ebola positive on September 26th and died today in the morning while receiving treatment at Fort Portal Regional Referral Hospital. Acheng says Dr. Mohammed is the first medical worker at a rank of doctor to die of Ebola after a midwife attached to St. Florence Clinic died of Ebola. This comes days after the president of the Uganda Medical Association, Dr. Samuel Oledo, asked the Ministry of Health to provide health workers with personal protection equipment.
We shall not be able to entertain health workers to touch patients without PPEs. Please, you have a mandate. You have a right to stay home.
The ministry already hit with that request of providing PPEs, but right now there were very many predisposed people. Even as we talk, there were many other doctors who were tested positive. That's why we have 6. We have another 3 who tested positive yesterday. So the situation is going to expand over time. Every time we get resources fixed, every time we get resources for this cause. Otherwise, we are ending into an impending doom, because even the doctors who are going to go to the use, they must be facilitated.
Dr. Oledo says the doctor who died might have contracted the Ebola virus following a surgical procedure on a patient who didn't present Ebola symptoms at the time. The patient, according to Oledo, was later confirmed to have Ebola.
Doctor was dead. Was the lead surgeon on the table. He was a Tanzania. It's so painful for us. We feel bad for losing him. As of now, PPEs are available in Movende. We have enough PPEs in Movende, but they care now because we have a very thin staff. We have very few staffs who are available to work on these patients.
As of September 30th, cumulative confirmed Ebola cases stand at 38, following new 3 confirmed cases in Movende District, Kasanda, Kagadi, and Chegegwa districts. At least 8 health workers have tested positive for Ebola, including intern doctors and a senior house officer at Movende Regional Referral Hospital. Sharon Twebaze for CTV PM Edition.
An unfortunate tragedy there. Moving on, Prime Minister Robin Anavanja has again condemned all forms of sectarianism based on tribe, religion, and gender, saying these practices are detrimental to development. She was representing President Museveni during a dialogue to commemorate the International Day of Peace in Kampala.
Nabanja says all forms of sectarianism should be avoided at all costs because they cannot promote development in the society.
Why should we be slaves to tribe? Why should we be slaves to religion? We must transition from the small enclaves of tribal affiliation to a modern state where economic, social, and political security.
She said Ugandans should work towards the attainment of a modern state where economic, social, and political security interests are bigger than tribal interests.
It is not about the geography of where one comes from, but rather our interests that should make us who we are and who we want to be.
She said human rights are not just about civil and political rights, but focus on all issues that affect society.
Peace and security are human rights. Humanitarian preparedness and response is human rights. Human development is human rights. I want to encourage the Ugandan Human Rights Commission, together with our friends, the United Nations family, and all well-meaning partners, to invest more in regularizing such constructive forums.
Museveni asked Uganda Human Rights Commission to invest more time and resources in constructive fora that promote peace.
The Ugandan Human Rights Commission, together with our friends, the United Nations family, and all well-meaning partners, to invest more in regularizing such constructive forums that will inspire the right tone of peace, unity, and development.
The dialogue focused on ending racism and peace building. Hadija Mutes for CTV PM Edition.
Members of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Uganda, whose history began in 1927, have today kicked off a fundraising campaign to construct an Adventists Tower in Kampala. The activity was graced by the State Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, as well as other members of faith. The details.
In the wake of different religious institutions setting up monumental commercial structures in Kampala City, the Seventh-day Adventist Church has embarked on a similar project. Prominent among them is Mapera House, owned by the Catholic Church, and Church House, which is owned by the Anglican Church. The Adventists are looking for 25 billion Ugandan shillings to set up their own. The Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, who is also the MP of Ntenjeru North, Amos Lugolobi, was the chief fundraiser.
I want to make a cash contribution of 8 million shillings.
The minister and his team contributed 40 million Ugandan shillings in cash. The Adventist team from the Uganda Revenue Authority contributed 11.8 million Ugandan shillings in cash. 200 million Ugandan shillings was raised in cash and pledges. The guest pastor, while speaking to journalists, says all Adventists should contribute towards the construction of Adventists Tower, which will be the first of all Adventists in Uganda.
Building. One wing is taken by the Uganda, the other wing is taken by the English. So this is a local church.
Kevin Kasoma, CTV PM Edition.
As the world's young population rises amidst technological changes and massive unemployment, the youth have been advised to be dynamic to earn a living outside their profession and training specialties. During a Global Health Corps meeting at Clark University in Kisugu, Kampala, the youth have been guided on how academic qualifications are no longer a path to success. Take a look.
The youth make up almost 70% of Uganda's population, a fact that is partly to blame for rampant unemployment. Most of the youth, however, have failed to appreciate that their academic qualifications are not enough to secure a job if they don't expose themselves to available economic opportunities to make a living. Officials from the Global Health Corps told professionals who are trained at Clark University in Kampala that they need to identify gaps in the economy they can exploit to survive.
Take advantage of opportunities. As a young person, if something comes up and you think it's going to make your future better, take it up. I mean, this is the only time you have to take the risks.
Caroline Achola explains the motive of the Global Health Corps to engage young professionals to think outside the box.
After the lockdown, you realize that most of the students did not want to go back to school because they had been working and they were contemplating, why would I go to school if I am earning? I will work, they will pay me money even if I don't have a degree. But at the end of the day, what you're doing without qualification, the pay you get is not similar to someone who has qualifications.
Achola says most people who have attended similar dialogues have been transformed and have become agents of change.
every youth out there should be passionate to complete their studies. Let them go back to school. Let them finish their studies. Let them endeavor to get their certificates, because it's going to put them on another level and separate them from the rest of the world.
Hannington Kangume, a students leader, says many professionals who have left university and other training institutions are frustrated after getting employment in the fields of their study.
It should not be about the accolades from the education, but it should be, what do you have aside? What do you use your head to do apart from education? What if you don't achieve in the education? Are you going to live a miserable life? No, they have proved us wrong, and we have gotten that idea. We have to be creative, we have to be innovative, and then we transform the environment.
Being part of all these groups, I'm telling you, comes with a lot of benefits. It only depends on how you look at it. Whenever you meet someone new, what is that thing that you can go away with? When you meet someone for 1 minute, what do you want to be remembered for, and what do you want that person to look out to reach to you? You must bring out the key things about yourself. 1, 2, 3 things. Who you are, what you do, and what you want to be, maybe in the nearest, shortest time possible.
A sustainable project to fight hunger in Karamoja region. We bring you this story and more after the break.
Do you love me?
Very much.
Welcome back to CTV PM Edition with me, Melissa Mboha, and Isaac Luchamazi on Sign Language. Moving on, after a period of soliciting food relief donations to people in Karamoja region, a religious group has embarked on a sustainable project to fight hunger in the region. The project will involve plowing and planting food crops on a large scale. This, according to the promoters of the project, will end the perennial food shortage in the area. The details.
We came with a team of very good people who came with some agreements to the ground here. We managed to mobilize farmers who have good chunks of land where the tractors are going to start cultivating from today. I am part of the beneficiary because I also offered my land amounting to 215 hectares, which I want to give them to cultivate in the next one season. That is from October to December. Disarmed, and now those ones that have been disarmed actually are the ones that are supposed to go to the gardens. And as we speak now, there's peace. There's total peace, most especially here in Akapripirit and specifically here in Amalu. People are very peaceful and people are farmers, and now they are doing the security.
In the regional news, an army captain in Burkina Faso has announced on national television that he has ousted military leader Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Damiba as a legal case by Maasai herders trying to stop Tanzania's government from evicting them from land they gave farmers for generations has been dismissed by the East African Court of Justice. Take a look.
Burkina Faso State Television was interrupted on Friday night by a member of the country's army declaring that the previous coup leader, Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Damiba, had been overthrown. The spokesperson said that since Burkina Faso had faced a worsening security situation, the officers and junior officers of the National Army Force were motivated to take action with the desire to protect the security and integrity of the country. Damiba and his allies overthrew the democratic elected president in January, but failed to quell jihadist violence and frustration with his leaders, which has grown in recent months. The spokesman introduces Captain Ibrahim Troili as the new head state. On Friday evening, it was unclear where Lieutenant Colonel Damiba was. The coup organizers also announced the closure of country's land and air borders from midnight, as well as the suspension of the constitution and the dissolution of the government and the Transformation Legislative Assembly. Burkina Faso has experienced 8 successful coups d'etat since independence in 1960. The Islamic insurgents broke out in Burkina Faso in 2015, leaving thousands dead and forcing an estimated 2 million people from their homes. A legal case by Maasai herders trying to stop Tanzanian government from evicting them from the land they have farmed for generations has been dismissed by the East African Court of Justice. However, lawyers presenting the Maasai farmers say they plan to appeal the decision. The case at the court involved eviction beginning in 2017 of Maasai from 1,500 square kilometers of land bordering Serengeti National Park. The court in 2018 issued an interim order that stopped evictions. But the court on Friday found that the Maasai failed to show they had been evicted from their village land and not from the Serengeti Park itself. The court also found that witnesses who alleged violent evictions failed to give evidence proving injury or loss. Advocate for the petitioner Esther Monaro said they have a right to appeal in the East African Court of Justice. The ruling comes amidst new tension between Maasai and authorities over their land being marked off for a game reserve in one of the country's most popular tourist destinations. The Ngorongoro district has concerns for wildlife and for traditional communities clash. The government of Tanzania, which relies heavily on tourism, has not commented on the case. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, the economic system around tourism was the largest foreign exchange earner, the second largest contributor to the gross domestic product, and the third largest contributor to employment, according to a World Bank report in 2021.
PM Edition returns shortly with more news from the world of sports. You are still watching CTV PM Edition with me, Melissa Mboha, and Isaac Luchamuzi on Sign Language. In the world of sports, Bull FC has demolished newcomers Black Power FC 5-0 in the Uganda Premier League. The 2022 to 2023 season kicked off on Friday.